Well, folks, we have a company. It's called Jeremy's Chocolate. And Jeremy's Chocolate is about basically one joke. Boys exist, girls exist. We have he-him bars with nuts, and we have she-her bars without nuts. Apparently, you can now get fired for handing those things out at a community college. According to Daily Wire, a California community college history professor is now in big trouble because he handed out Jeremy's Chocolate bars to students. David Richardson is a self-described gay conservative, and he stocked a bowl of candy with Jeremy's he-him, she-her chocolate bars, inviting Madera Community College students at an open house to help themselves, according to George Washington University law professor and blogger Jonathan Turley. School officials apparently took the act as an endorsement of the gender binary. Richardson told Turley he'd been suspended, banned from non-public spaces on campus, denied access to his email, as the school investigates him for serious misconduct. Richardson, again, who is gay and has been teaching for 33 years, said that a staff member started taking pictures of the candy bars and kept trying to bait me. Nothing happened until he received a letter on Monday. Apparently, this constitutes a hostile work environment, says the college officials. They claimed it was harassment and discrimination against colleagues based on gender. Richardson is already in the middle of a lawsuit against the State Center Community College District, which he sued after it sanctioned him for his behavior during a mandatory pronoun etiquette seminar that was led by a trans-identifying professor in October 2021. So, first of all, hilarious. Second of all, frightening. So if you say that boys and girls exist, or if you just put out a chocolate bar that suggests the same, then apparently you could be fired from your job as a community college professor. Well, folks, that's a terrible story. It's a story that might put you in a bad mood, but you know what will put you in a better mood? Eating the same chocolate that is getting this professor in trouble. You should have Jeremy's Chocolate at hand because Jeremy believes every free American should have the right to hand out whatever chocolate he or she sees fit. And that's why right now you can get the delicious Jeremy's he, him, and she, her chocolate bars in microaggression size. So pre-order Jeremy's Chocolate right now, conveniently available for Halloween. Go to jeremy'schocolate.com, pre-order today. That's an insane story of the day. But that's not even quite as insane as what is happening with regard to children's TV. Again, there's a reason we here at Daily Wire are spending $100 million to make children's TV. And it is because you cannot turn to children's TV and just leave your kids in front of it without worrying that they're going to be indoctrinated with a bunch of non-binary gender ideological bullcrap. There's a show. It is apparently called Transformers Earthspark. I have not watched 1 minute of the show because why would I? But apparently it is from Paramount Plus. It is also on Nickelodeon, I believe. There's an episode of Transformers Earthspark in which children are taught. This is a show for kids who are maybe 6 through 10 maybe, in which they are taught about the gender non-binary beauty, the beauty of gender non-binary terminology. Here we go.
Morning. Can you switch,
Nightshade's pronouns are they, them.
He or she just doesn't fit who I am.
My apologies. Please switch their piece.
Okay. And by the way, that's the second clip in this show where the robot declares that it is in fact gender non-binary because the human character says that she's a girl, is gender non-binary. And the robot's like, that's so beautiful. It matches the beauty of my experience. And it's just pure left-wing indoctrination on children's TV. Do not let your kids watch shows you haven't pre-screened. I know it's a lot of work. Or you could just subscribe to Daily Wire Plus, and then we'll pre-screen the stuff for you because we'll either make it or license it. I mean, that's either you can trust our vetting procedures or you can trust your own. It's a lot more time effective to just let us do it for you, is the reality, over at dailywireplus.com. But that's the reason we are doing this, is because you literally cannot leave your kid in front of a TV watching a Transformers show for 7-year-olds without worrying they're going to be teaching your kid that he could be a she. It's absolutely absurd and ridiculous. Summer is here. That means it's time to grill. Yes. Like most Americans, you're probably not wild about spending half your annual salary buying meat at the grocery store, especially considering 85% of it comes from overseas. Well, I have some good news for you. When you subscribe to Good Ranchers, you're not only going to get high-quality, amazing meat at an excellent price, you'll also get meat that comes from American farms and ranches. Inflation is on the rise. Good Ranchers is locking in your price for 2 years. Imagine if you could have locked in your price 2 years ago, you would have saved hundreds of dollars. You need to change the way you buy meat. Now would be the perfect time to do so. My producer, Savvy, well, she just had a baby. The last thing she needs to be doing is worrying about the food she eats or planning trips to the grocery stores. Well, good news. My friends at Good Ranchers have a Ranchers Classic Box on the way to her. Lucky Savvy, because the meat they made me a kosher steak one time. It was so good. Head on over to goodranchers.com. Use code Ben for $30 off any box. With Good Ranchers, you can rest easy knowing you're feeding your family with 100% American, locally sourced meat delivered straight to your door. That is promo code Ben at goodranchers.com for $30 off your order. Goodranchers.com, promo code Ben. Good Ranchers is, in fact, American meat delivered. Let's talk about the fact that our country seems to be headed in the wrong direction. You may have noticed Well, there is one organization working to correct that. That is Prager You. Prager You videos could help save the future of the country. Prager You makes educational, pro-American content that has been changing people's minds for over a decade. Their impact is pivotal in these times. Did you know that 70% of viewers have changed their minds after watching a Prager You video? Did you know that 60% of viewers are under the age of 35? My friends at Prager You are reaching millions of people with their educational videos, but they still have a long way to go. You can help Prager You reach thousands more by joining Club 5 for just $5 or more per month. $5 per month is only 17 cents per day, so it's a pretty good deal to help save the country. Go to prageru.com/club5 right now to join. Your gift will ensure that Prager You has the support it needs to be here for the long haul. When you join Club 5, you receive a free Prager You bumper sticker, an ebook of scripts from Prager You's 5-minute videos as well. That's prageru.com/club5 today. Prager You, they're basically a sister company. They do amazing work in helping to get conservative messages out to the younger generation. Literally hundreds of millions, billions of people have seen their stuff. prageru.com/club5 to help them out today. You can see some of the border footage. Here are thousands of Haitians forming in Mexico across from McAllen, Texas. Literally thousands of them waiting to cross the southern border. Do you see how many women and children there are in this crowd? Tons of women. Oh, no, sorry. These are all young working age men who are attempting to get in. I noticed. Like all of them. I'll just awaiting the end of Title 42. They're showing up at the border, awaiting the end of Title 42. They're being very clear about why they are arriving now. One migrant was talking to the media, said, there's a reason I came right now. It's because Title 42 is ending, told CNN.
Y una pregunta, ¿usted está enterado del título 42 y que iban a abrir la frontera como antes de la pandemia? Were you aware of Title 42 and that they were going to open the border like before the pandemic?
Sí, estaba enterado.
Por eso viniste, that's why you came?
Claro, igual que mucha gente.
Yeah.
Yep, that's why he showed up. He showed up because Title 42 is ending. And he knows that Joe Biden has no plan and will just release him into the interior of the United States. Not only are they being released into the interior, they're now getting the Biden phones, which is very exciting. So migrants apparently are now being handed Biden phones. Why? So they can check in on their court dates. How many do you think they're going to be checking in on the court dates from the cell phone? Or maybe they'll use the cell phone for something else. Well, what do you think? This is from the post-millennial footage of illegal immigrants being handed phones. Those are your taxpayer dollars being handed to people. It's good. They can check their Instagram. That's the really important thing. They're there at the border being handed phones. You can see ICE officials in the background, border protection officials in the background. And then they have like a sheet of paper and it's telling them, oh, you should check in on your court date. They're like, well, I do have to check my Snapchat. So that's all going extremely well. Meanwhile, the only people who apparently are taking this seriously at all are members of the Texas National Guard. So Greg Abbott has activated the National Guard in Texas to actually build barbed wire fencing along the border. And you can see there's like an actual border now with barbed wire fencing. This should be the job of the federal government. Federal government ain't doing it, so it's got to be the Texas National Guard. And here at this particular border, you actually do see some people carrying small children. So they're attempting to cross that river, come across, and they're like, why are you guys stopping us? Well, you're being stopped because you're not allowed to enter countries without the permission of those countries, typically speaking. Now, if Donald Trump had done this, then the media would be like, oh my God, look how cruel. Look at the cruel brutality of Donald Trump. But it's Joe Biden doing it, which means he's a kindly elderly gentleman who just likes to sniff the hair of young minor children. So it's all fine, probably. Meanwhile, the Democrats have no plan whatsoever on the border. None. House Republicans passed a border security bill yesterday. It's dead on arrival. The measure passed 219 to 213. The legislation is known as the Secure the Border Act of 2023. It would mandate that CBP hire enough Border Patrol agents to maintain a staff of 22,000 and develop a plan to upgrade existing technology to make sure that agents are actually well equipped. It would also require the Homeland Security Secretary to resume construction of the border wall. The bill is unlikely to become law. Democrats hold a slim majority in the Senate, and the White House, of course, is issuing a veto threat this week. In a joint statement after the bill passed, House GOP leaders said that Republicans are taking action to address the chaos at our nation's borders by delivering legislation that will support our Border Patrol agents, block the flow of fentanyl into our country, and put an end to the Biden border crisis. The White House issued a statement this week saying that while they support productive efforts to reform the country's immigration system, it opposes the GOP-sponsored bill. It says it would make elements of our immigration system worse. Why? Well, according to the White House, quote, the legislation does nothing to address the root causes of migration, reduces humanitarian protections, and restricts lawful pathways, which are critical alternatives to unlawful entry. In other words, what we actually need to do is just release them on asylum. It's amazing. So this White House is turning down actual money for more Border Patrol agents right now in the middle of Title 42 ending. And meanwhile, what's Democrats' solution? Democrats' solution is that they actively, some of them who actually care about the border issue at least a little bit, They actually want to extend Title 42. Okay, now Title 42, remember, is a pandemic era protection from Health and Human Services, saying you can't come in because you might have COVID. So the Democrats don't actually want to just up border security permanently. Instead, they want this temporary salve in which we pretend that COVID is still an ongoing problem. Sherrod Brown is now joining Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema to urge the administration to extend Title 42 for 2 years. For 2 years. So instead of actually passing a law that would increase border security, instead what they're going to do is pretend that the COVID crisis is still ongoing with regard to illegal immigration. Just amazing, amazing stuff. Meanwhile, Alejandro Mayorkas is blaming Congress. Doesn't matter that the House Republicans just passed a border security bill. Mayorkas, because he works for the Democrats and is a Democrat administration official, he says it's Congress's fault.
Our current situation is the outcome of Congress leaving a broken, outdated immigration system in place for over 2 decades, despite unanimous agreement that we desperately need legislative reform. It is also the result of Congress's decision not to provide us with the resources we need and that we requested.
Oh, so it's about Congress. Or alternatively, you have the power under law to actually enforce the border and you're not doing any of it. The good news is that Alejandro Mayorkas, he has his eye on the ball, the Secretary of Homeland Security. He was asked about open borders, how much they're costing the American taxpayer. He's like, good job, Alejandro.
What's the rough cost to American taxpayers since the roughly 4 million people have come into this country illegally?
Let me turn that question around a little bit, because I'm going to turn it around to match the question that an international partner asked of me. And the question that the international partner asked of me is, what is the economic cost of your broken immigration system? Since there are businesses around this country that are desperate for workers, there are desperate workers looking for jobs, desperate workers in foreign countries that are looking for jobs in the United States where they can earn money lawfully and send much needed remittances back home. What is the cost of a broken immigration system?
That's an amazing, what? So he's asked, how much does it cost taxpayers that we're bringing in, millions of illegal immigrants? He's like, I don't like your question. Let me ask you a question that I do like. That question is, why wouldn't we want 100 million people to come into the country and send remittances back to their home country? What? And then you wonder why people think it's an open borders country. It's because of you. It's you. You're the one doing it. Alrighty, guys, the rest of the show is continuing right now. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be getting into the vaunted Ben Shapiro Show mailbag. If you're not a member, become a member today. Use code Shapiro at checkout for 2 months free on all annual plans. Click that link in the description and join us.